Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our very first Uni Talk. My name is Harvina, and I will be your MC this evening. I'm sure most of you are probably wondering, what is Uni Talk? Well, to answer your question, Uni Talk is somewhat like Kaiser Talk, except this time we have parents of KYS students who come from very prestigious universities. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, today we have three extremely distinguished speakers who have graduated from one of the most prestigious universities in the world, University of Oxford. Before we begin, please welcome the UniTalk project manager, Azmi Akbar, to say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum and a very good evening to everyone. My name is Azme and I'm the project manager for the first ever edition of Uni Talk. First and foremost, I'd like to express my utmost gratitude to all the speakers who've been able to join us here today, as well as all of you who have so generously made time to be here. Not forgetting our advisor, Mr. Ramachandra, who has guided us throughout this process. And last but not least, my committee members, namely Iman Amani, Harvina, Kisina Afika, Putri Kisina, Raja Azrin, and Arisa Hani for their hard work and commitment. With that being said, I hope you all will gain some invaluable insights from the esteemed speakers. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Azmir, for that warm welcome. Now, let's get this event started. We present to you the speakers for today, Mrs. Siti Suhaila binti Muhammad, Ms. Adlin Abdul Majid, and Dr. Nur Faizah Abu Tahir. Our first speaker is Mrs. Siti Suhaila binti Muhammad, or as we like to call, Auntie Suhaila. Auntie Suhaila did her Bachelor of Arts in Politics and International Studies in Warwick University. She then did her Bachelor of Arts and Master of Arts in Philosophy, Politics, and Economics in Oxford University as a Rhodes Scholar. Auntie Suhaila has a myriad of past job experiences, namely at Shell Malaysia, McKinsey & Co., Ethos & Co., Booz & Co., and Delivery Associates, where she worked as a freelance public policy consultant. Our second speaker is Ms. Adlin Abdul Majid. Ms. Adlin is a lawyer who has worked her way to the top. In 1997 to 2002, she worked as an associate of the litigation department at a law firm, Lee Hishamuddin. From 2003 to 2011, Ms. Adlin worked as a senior manager of the Legal and Compliance Department at Multimedia Development Corporation, also known as AMDEC, a government agency in charge of the development of the information and communication technology industry in Malaysia. Now, Ms. Adlin has returned to the law firm Lee Hishamuddin, Allen and Gladhill, where she is the partner of the Technology, Media, and Telecommunications Department. And last but not least, Dr. Nur Faizah Abu Tahrim, or as preferred, Auntie Faizah. Auntie Faizah did her Master of Chemistry at Oxford University and then proceeded to University Kebangsaan Malaysia to do a PhD in chemistry. Auntie Faizah has worked as a lecturer at College Matrikulasi Yayasan Saad and Taylor's College, both where she taught the subject chemistry. She is currently working as a senior lecturer at the Department of Chemical Sciences, Faculty of Science and Technology at University Kebangsaan Malaysia. Wow, it looks like we have some extremely talented and profound speakers here today. Before we begin, here are a few house rules. Firstly, switch your smartphone and or any sound emitting devices to silent mode. Secondly, avoid doing anything in front of the webcam that will distract the speakers. Thirdly, your microphone will be muted by the Zoom master. Fourthly, if you have any questions, please type it out in the chat box or Q&A box. Your cooperation to strictly observe these house rules is highly appreciated. Without further ado, I present to you our first speaker of the evening, Mrs. Siti Suhaila.
Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon to everyone. Thank you, Harvina, for the kind introduction, and a big thank you to Mr. Rama and the KYS Uni Talk committee for organizing this and for inviting Auntie Sue to speak today. Well, since Auntie Sue sat for SPM and went to uni many, many years ago, I won't bore you on the technicalities of exams, university applications, scholarship interviews, or uni life for now. So what Auntie Sue would like to share first today is more of an almost like an amalgamation and a very brief summary of some of the last 3 decades of my experiences and key learnings, if that can be summarized so easily in 15 minutes. But I guess at 46, I think it's more possible to do this than at 16 or 17. Definitely a summary of some of these fundamentals that have guided and shaped me. There are many, but Auntie Sue will briefly talk about 3 of them today. I hope they'll be of benefit one way or the other. However, do ask questions on anything specific that you would like to know more of, maybe about preparing for scholarship applications, university decision, career choice, consulting, etc. at the end of the session, and I'll try my best to answer them. Though I must say that most things I knew then and remember now may not be that relevant anymore, but inshallah, it might still be useful. I believe Auntie Faiza and Auntie Adlin will know better and much more for sure. Anyway, 3 things. One is first, staying true to yourself. Auntie Sue was born and raised in a small kampong in rural Kelantan. So we are so far away from so many things and so undeveloped in so many ways. I wouldn't say it was backward because it didn't feel like that. We had so much fun growing up, but it was definitely backwater. When electricity finally came to our kampong, I was already around 12 years old, and it felt like pure miracle, like we were given a complete new world. So coming from that kind of place, it was truly purely by the mercy and grace of the Almighty that timid kampung girl who had worked in Bendang, collected kayu api in hutan, climbed trees for wild fruits, could have left the kampung and embraced the big white world and gone as far as I had been. And yet, I would always like to think that the best part of me is still there in my kampong. I mean, firmly rooted in the mud of the sawah at the foot of the hills. I am forever grateful to be a kampong girl, or rather kampong makcik now, and that's what I've proudly carried with me throughout my life. I learned along the way how important it was to find our sense of self from early on in life, to accept who we are and to stay true to that. I had never felt like I had to be just like others to be accepted. Later on in life, when I had done Rhodes Scholarship and McKinsey, people often asked, what did it take to be a Rhodes Scholar? What did it take to ace those brutal McKinsey interviews? And my answers would always be, no matter how obvious it may seem, just be yourself. It's important to have a strong sense of belonging to who you are. Yes, always be happy to be different, to be unique. Don't feel that you need to always constantly tick all the standard boxes to be accepted, to be deemed worthy or successful. When Auntie Sue started Oxford as a Rhodes Scholar, a fellow scholar asked, did you attend the interviews looking like that? That was referring to me wearing a headscarf, and the same thing happened to McKinsey too. I was one of very, very few, if not the only one globally who got accepted into the firm while also looking like that. Well, this is not about religious identity or anything ideological. It's really about sticking to who you are and what matters most to you. It would have been easy to conform to some, if not all, of those expected norms when looking to apply to, say, the most prestigious scholarship in the world or joining arguably the best management consulting firm in the world at that point in time. But it would turn you into just everyone else. And I believe I wouldn't have gotten what I had if I had tried to be just like everyone else. Yes, it's not always easy nor comfortable to be different, to be sticking out like a sore thumb sometimes. But being true to who we are, while may not always be easy, is definitely the simplest and most effective way of setting ourselves apart, of building our differentiation, our value proposition. So do not be scared, do not be embarrassed to be different. But of course, when you choose to always be yourself, you have the obligation to make yourselves as interesting as possible, at least the way you see it, so equip yourself, read as much as you can, as varied as you can, be aware, be exposed, and do things that set you apart. Make yourself someone people take notice of. At the same time, also know that what people think of us is rather important too. Learn to take constructive feedback and advice, but do not ever sacrifice our beliefs in ourselves and our values to fulfill others. While we continue to innovate, to adapt, and change with changing times and circumstances, the core that makes us who we are must always stay intact. And I would always say to anyone who asks me this, find that core. Okay, two, second thing that I've learned along the way is to always give your best. Giving your best, being the best if that happens, and owning your success. Regardless of the odds, we must always give our best to everything that we do. And this to believe that it's only by giving our best that we'll receive the best in return. This mostly comes without saying, but many times I had to remind myself of this. Of course, giving your best is not the same as being the best. Likewise, there is a distinct difference between trying to better yourself and being better than everyone else. Giving our best is about being at our best, and that can easily mean being able to uplift others too. It's not always about being competitive and being in the lead. It's simply about giving our all and not giving up. It's about focusing on the value we bring instead of attaining perfection or mastery. We'll make mistakes along the way. We'll face disappointments and failures. But when we've given our best, we'll be able to take all those in our stride, learn from them, forgive ourselves, and move on. But if at all somehow, we are not able to move on, to pick ourselves up after the falls, then don't be afraid, don't be embarrassed to also ask for help. Learn to build your support system and put together your enablers in life, people who will continue to support you and lift you up whenever you're down. And that's truly important. And if, let's say, by giving your best, by giving our best, we end up being the best, then we know that it's one well-deserved attainment and we can be fully happy for that. 3 years ago, when Auntie Sue was asked to speak at Indirax's 100 Days to SPM event, I talked about how our lives are naturally built in stages. You take one step at a time, you go through one stage at a time. And you always want to make the most of your life at any given time, any given stage. You want to always be able to look back and say to yourself, yes, that part of my life was completed successfully, most excellently. At each stage, your definition of success may differ and change accordingly, and you are most certainly entitled to your own definitions. But you want to always know that you have given your best, no regrets. And once you've done that, and if you received successes in return, you must believe in yourself and own them. If you do become the best, then own it. There'll be times in your life when you will doubt your own self, that you will question your own so-called achievements, and you may even feel that those don't belong to you, that you don't belong where you are. Personally, I've grappled with this all my life, and on many occasions, it had proven extremely detrimental. On last Kaiser talk, a speaker mentioned this imposter syndrome, and he quoted Maya Angelou, who once said, I've written 11 books, but each time I think, they're going to find out now. I've run a game with everybody and they're going to find me out. That felt so close to home that I thought I should mention it again. But I also want to say that know that if you ever feel this way, if you ever fear being found out, you are actually quite the opposite. I read once in the Forbes magazine a few years ago that imposter syndrome is a domain of high achievers. Those who set the bar low are rarely its victim, actually. So if you're relating to what I'm sharing, then pat yourself on the back because it's a sure sign that you aren't ready to settle into the rank of mediocrity. Rather, you're likely to be a person who aims high and is committed to giving your very best to whatever endeavor you set your sights upon. And that is surely a very noble aim. So give your best, be your best, and own your success. Wear that badge of honor confidently, but always, always humbly too. Carry that with humility. The story of how Auntie Sue got into McKinsey is rather a long one, pretty dramatic too. To cut it short, from being someone who was being booed to apply, I was actually rejected the first time around. So much for them spending time and effort on getting me to consider the firm to be my future employer. They even had people come talk to me personally in Oxford. I mean, they were very kind that way. I was rejected at the end of the last interview, and the senior partner who interviewed me said, "You're too kind to join McKinsey. That maybe you should stick to things like the World Bank," which at that point in time sounded rather odd to me. But of course, it was a rejection anyway, and I was very sad too, but somehow we couldn't really let go. Less than a month later, I was invited to join the firm for a weekend in Costa del Sol, a seaside town in Spain, and was made to kind of prove myself again. And to cut long story short, I was immediately made an offer at the end of that trip and told that I could choose to be at any of the offices around the world. It took me some time to officially accept the offer, enough time for them to fly me all the way to New York for a weekend, be allowed to experience the best of Broadway and what other good things New York had to offer, be presented with a very expensive pen just so that I could finally sign on the dotted line. So, so looking back, even when I wasn't even thinking of applying to the firm in the first place, when I did agree to do it, I believe until today that I gave my all and my best. And that if there was ever a reason why they came back to me less than a month after having declined me, I had wanted to think that they had seen that best in me and had liked that enough to give both the firm and I another shot. Ultimately, what's meant for us will not miss us. Giving our best is a requisite for that. It's a responsibility. And, there's nothing to lose when you give your best. Only when you give your best that, inshallah, you will receive the best in return. So, yeah, give your best always. And finally, the third one would be setting your priorities, being firm about them and not having regrets. Earlier, Auntie Su mentioned the different stages of our lives and how at each stage we must give our best and not allowing ourselves to look back with what ifs and should haves. Given how these stages shape our lives and the need to give our best, it's then important that we know how to prioritize the many things we face and encounter. It's not possible to give our best to everything, at least I think so. We will completely drain ourselves out in that process. Setting our priority or priorities is then key. Knowing what's important to us and to people who matter most is extremely critical. Our priorities, while they may not necessarily be set in stone and may change according to our circumstances at different stages of our lives, they must be something that we truly believe in, that we can be firm about, and one we will fight for and protect. Sometimes what we consider as of utmost importance to us may not appear so to others, and that's fine. For the past many years, ever since Auntie Sue left McKinsey, all the other jobs that I've undertaken have been done as a part-timer or freelancer. While all the companies that I was attached to were kind enough to consider me as part of their permanent team, I had consciously decided that full-time work was not for me. At one point in my life, I was made to feel that I had to choose between being an amazing consultant and at least trying to be an amazing mom, as it wasn't possible for me to be both. And I had chosen the latter. It wasn't an easy decision, but knowing what mattered most to me then and what still matters most to me now made it clearer what I had to prioritize. And I fought very hard to keep that. Well, I've forgone a lot of things professionally to ensure that I could at least try to be a good mom. I have never regretted that decision. And with that, I earned understanding and support, I believe. Whenever I got offered a consulting job somewhere away from home, the considerations will always be how long will I be away? How many times in a month can I be home? What is the support I need to make things work? And I'm truly blessed to have been allowed to consider those always. 5 years ago, I received an offer to go to Howard Kennedy School, having worked very hard on the application and dreaming about it for many, many years, being a bit of a nerd that I was and still am, kind of. However, that had to be declined for many reasons, but one of the most important ones was because one of the boys was sitting for UPSR that year, and it wasn't possible for Auntie Sue to just not be around. So Harvard versus UPSR, the choice was certainly very obvious, right? But of course, again, what's not meant for us will not be ours. And sharing this, not to say that you must always choose one thing over the other. Setting your priorities does not mean limiting your possibilities. You can certainly prioritize everything if that's how it works for you. But understand what will that take and how you're going to deliver on all will certainly give you a better sense of the road ahead, of what you can and can't do. Knowing what are your priorities, no matter how insignificant or crazy they might seem to others, provides for a clearer purpose and focus in your life. And I would always encourage you to get your priorities right and be sincere about them. Last two Septembers, Auntie Sue and I found myself seated in in an admission talk during an open day in Cambridge. The director of admission at one of the colleges was explaining to parents and potential applicants how, as far as their college was concerned, that they wouldn't care less if the applicants had done many co-curricular activities, presented the state or the country, music or sports or whatever. He said, great if you had done that, but what we're looking for is simply a proof that you have the tenacity to be part of the rigorous academic life and to excel academically. And that's what matters most. So if, for example, you found yourself worrying about SPM now, but also wanting to do 20 other things, thinking about your priorities will certainly make you more focused and effective. So try it. And to conclude, I also do believe that getting where you want to be in life, whether acing through exams, getting yourself a prestigious scholarship, being admitted into top universities, landing the fanciest jobs there are, or simply making the most of things wherever, whenever, and whatever you may want them to be, is really fundamentally about getting your values and your principles right, about being kind and appreciative of who you are, being confident of yourself and true to yourself, always giving your best and setting your priorities right. It should apply at any stage of your life, really. I mean, not just at 17, but hopefully many, many years ahead, inshallah. So thank you.
Wow, Auntie Sue, you truly are an inspiring person, a really good person as well as an amazing mother. Thank you so much for that. Now we shall be moving on to the Q&A session. So we have two questions for you, Auntie Sue. First question, what's the one memorable experience you gained from studying in many top universities?
I would like you to, Karina dear, can I get that question again, please?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, what's the most memorable experience you gained from studying in many top universities? Oh wow, there's so many. To try to sift through them all may not be possible. But I guess with both Warwick and Oxford, the best thing would have been just enjoying university life, making friends and being there with others, getting to know everyone else, being exposed to all the different things, new things in life. And whether it's top or it's not top or whatever, I mean, it's not really about that. being in a university is really, one of the best time of your life, and you really should make the most of it. Of course, this current COVID situation doesn't quite help in building that experience, but I guess you can still make it your own. When I was at McKinsey, there was this tagline that they used to recruit people, and it's called McKinsey of One. It basically means really just personalizing your experience, uh, making sure that as much as the university or whatever or McKinsey is giving you the opportunities to experience things, you also bring to the table yourself and your experiences. So it's like you make it a world of your own as well. And and I think that's the best thing that you can do about being in uni. Just make it your own, and while you are receiving, you also contribute. And I think I had that opportunity to do both. So so yeah. So that should be my best experience from of my uni life.
Thank you for the answer, Auntie Sue. Now we'll be moving on to the second question. The competition to get into the top universities is fiercer than it has ever been. So, do you have any tips on how we can get into our dream university?
Well, first and foremost, understand why you want to go into that top university. I mean, is it just because it's a top university that you want to go there? Or is it because there are other things that you would like to derive from it? What exactly is the motivation of wanting to go to a top university? I mean, you don't set up to do something, you don't set up to become a Rhodes Scholar because a Rhodes Scholarship is the goal of that journey. You don't set up to go to a top university because top university is the end of that goal. No, ask yourself, why do I want to go there? Why do I want to go to Oxford? Why do I want to go to Cambridge or Harvard or MIT or whatever? What exactly that I want to get from this? So once you answer that question, you can be very sincere about your motive, and having that clear motive allows you to really prepare yourself. Ultimately, preparation is also key, but you must start with the right intention, the right motive, and then you prepare for it. I want to go there. I want to go to Oxford because, say, I want to do PPE, and PPE is potentially one of the best, university degrees there is, and it opens up doors for future opportunities to be, let's say, in public service, for example. So many British prime ministers started off as PPE students. So if really that's the line that you see yourself moving forward, then prepare yourself for that. Read books, talk to people, and equip yourself with your own kind of experience. Make yourself, again, I was talking about being yourself. Then build some kind of interesting things in yourself. Do things that others may have not done before, maybe to make you be more attractive, be more memorable. I mean, with your applications, and when you do get to the interview stage with the interviewers, and then inshallah, if God willing, you will get in. But ultimately, be very, very clear why you want to go to that top university. What exactly are you seeking? What's your intention, your motive? Prepare yourself, get through the whole application process, then yeah, be there, inshallah.
Thank you, Auntie Sue. That was some really, really good advice. We have one question from the audience. This will be the final first personal question. So the question is, what motivated you to keep moving forward?
Oh, sometimes I feel like I move backward a lot. um, well, a lot of things. I think at any stage of your life, you will always tend to feel like, oh, I haven't done enough. I haven't really done everything I want to do, and you continue to push the bar up, and you continue to feel that you need to do better, to move forward better. I mean, it can be anything. I mean, at this age, at 46, or being at home mostly because of COVID, and because our work. requires us to travel a lot, and without that opportunity, the ability to travel, I am basically at home most of the time. And so at this stage, moving forward to me is really just making myself, trying to be better at just being a good person, a good mother, and potentially, hopefully, a good Muslim. So I try to go to classes. I read more books on religion, on philosophy and things like that, and also just making the best of my time in that sense. So it at each stage of your life, you know, what you want to see happen to yourself will differ, and as long as we live, we continue to move forward. I guess there's no question about that. You don't just become static. Oh well, you can choose to be static, but the time and space will keep moving, and if you need to be able to be in that time and space, and just move on. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Auntie Sue. I'm sure
Welcome.
I'm sure all of us learned not just one thing or two, but many valuable things from this speech. So thank you so much for that, Auntie Sue. Now we shall move on to the second speaker of the evening, Ms. Adlin Abdul Majid.
Assalamualaikum everyone. Good afternoon.
Off your mic now. Off.
Pardon?
Off mic and
It's good to be here today. I'm quite new to the KYS community because when my daughter Iman joined, I managed to only meet everyone once at the registration, and after that, COVID wreaked havoc on our lives, and unfortunately I haven't been able to meet any of the KYS parents and students. So hopefully with this, you can consider me a familiar face and we say hello when you see me in school. Secondly, it's actually quite lovely to have everyone to have a session with two of my good friends, Auntie Sue and Auntie Faiza. I've known them since uni days, since we were about your age. So having them here today is somewhat a reunion because we've been very busy with work, with family, with life, that we haven't really been in touch so much. And today is a good opportunity for us to speak to each other as well. And what, like Auntie Sue mentioned earlier, university life at the end of the day, and your school life as well, applies to your school life as well. At the end of the day, it will be whatever it is, you will be competing, you will be studying very hard, but don't forget to make friends because these are firm friends that you will keep all your life. And that's, you can see that in how close we are, even after 30 years. So yeah, work hard, but at the end of the day, establish the relationship that you need to establish in school. Be good to people, be kind to people. And at the end of the day, you will have firm friends that you'll be in touch with all the way until you are much older. So today, how I'm going to approach this session is firstly to talk about a bit about myself, my background, what I've done and what I'm doing now. And hopefully, when I speak about that, there'll be life lessons which I can share. And some of these life lessons are already highlighted by Auntie Sue, things like having to work hard, focusing, and also being true to yourself. These are all similar life lessons, but because we have different backgrounds, there'll be different things that we have experienced. So I was born and raised in Kajang. Sorry, I wasn't born in Kajang, I was born in Kelantan, but I was raised in Kajang. So I went to school in Sekolah Rendah Konvent Kajang and Sekolah Menengah Konvent Kajang. I didn't go to boarding school when I was younger. So when I was at convent, I was very active as a student. Did a lot of debating, public speaking, but my real love as far as extracurricular activities was concerned was hockey. Was always on the hockey pitch. I played since I was around Form 2, Form 3. Then when I was all the way until university, actually, played hockey, field hockey all this while. And I was most active at around your age, which is around Form 4, Form 5, because by that time I was playing at state level. So what happened was I went back after school, probably about 3 p.m., rested a bit, did some homework, but we'll be in the field by 5 o'clock until evening, 7:30. And that used to happen almost every day, especially nearing state level tournaments. So when we weren't in the field, we'd be running because we had to keep up our stamina up. And I did long distance running to prepare for tournaments. So I knew I had to keep my grades up at that time because I was doing SPM, especially during SPM, because my parents would never let me play if I loved hockey and I couldn't let go of it. Parents would never let me play if I wasn't doing very well in school. So what I did was came back 7:30, rested probably for about an hour, and then worked sometimes throughout the night because I had to prove to them that I could still maintain my grades. So sometimes I'd wake up at 3, 4 a.m., 5 a.m. just to be able to finish my work because to replace the times that I spent on the field and running. So some of the tournaments at that time was very, very near SPM. And I remember I was so stubborn. I insisted on still going. And I got called to the principal's office, got called to see my guru discipline, and got called in by my father. They all asked me to stop playing because they said, look, prioritize. What do you want to do? SPM or you want to still keep playing hockey, which they thought would never be a future. And then they're right, obviously. It was just something that I was very passionate to do. But you know what? They couldn't stop me because at the end of the day, I was still getting straight A's. I was getting straight A's for my SPM percubaan. I was getting straight A's for all my exams along the way. So whatever it was, I managed to still play hockey very seriously, especially for 445, and still got very good results for my SPM. So I suppose that's the first life lesson that I want to share. Whatever you do in life, as long as you work hard, you maintain grades, then no one can stop you from doing whatever you want to do. So maintain those grades, work hard, and then you can venture into other things that you may be interested in. And that will make you unique, as Auntie Sue said. So that was SPM. After SPM, I got quite good results. And I was given a scholarship by JPA. It was called the British Top University Scholarship under JPA. I'm not sure whether it still exists now. A few years ago, I did interview some JPA students, and they still had this scholarship program. So what happens in this scholarship program is that they will send the top students for SPM in the country, and they'll send us straight to do A-levels overseas. So the government felt at that time it will increase chances for us to go join or to be accepted to top universities like Oxford and Cambridge. So I was given this school. We couldn't choose our schools. We were given A-level schools. I was given this school called Hertwood House School in Surrey. It is a really nice school, just about half an hour from London, on top of a hill, in the middle of nowhere. This is a place where all the celebrities would, like Phil Collins, Eric Clapton, all these big time pop stars would have their houses. And I used to spend a lot of time running in that area because it's a really nice foresty area. But what I didn't know was that it was a very good A-level school, but it was also a drama school. So I don't know even whether JPA realized that they were all sending us to drama school. So it was a bit of a culture shock because I went there and then they started performing all sorts of things in the name of arts, and we were all quite students from quite a kampong area lah. Myself from Kajang, and then I had another JPA scholar from Kelantan, someone from Johor. We were all quite shocked by the theatrics of it all, by the drama that we were supposed to learn because we were in that school. Then I decided, right, that okay, fine, this is an opportunity, and JPA sent me there. I said, okay, fine, I don't understand anything about theatre. It's not going to be something that is going to be relevant to me in whatever I did because I was doing law. My JPA scholarship was on law, but I thought, why not embrace it? So I did. we had to act, we had to learn to sing, we had to do background props, we had to write scripts, we had to do costumes. Those are all things that I never would have appreciated had I not been in that school. So that's the second life lesson, which is, I think whatever life throws at you, try and keep an open mind. Certain things maybe you feel that they're not for you, and certainly theatre, I never thought it would be for me. But if I had not embraced theatre, if I had not embraced what that school offered at that time, I wouldn't have that experience. And that experience has taught me a lot in life. I mean, I enjoy theatre now. I understand theatre now. I understand drama now because of the exposure that we had in that school. And that's also in line with what Auntie Sue said, which is that whatever it is, try and be unique. And how do you become a unique person? By trying out things, by challenging yourself and trying to do things that you may think you may not be good at, but you never know, right? There's an example I wanted to give. A few weeks ago, I spoke to the chief judge of Sabah and Sarawak, ex-chief judge, a former chief judge of Sabah and Sarawak. His name is Tan Sri David Wong. So what happens in Malaysia is we have two bosses of the judges, if you may. One is the chief judge of Semenanjung and the other one is the chief judge of Sabah and Sarawak. This particular chief judge, he was the chief judge of Sabah and Sarawak, called Tan Sri David Wong. He told me that he was one of the first tasks that was given to him was to computerize courts in Sabah and Sarawak. And he had no idea how to do it. By that time, he was already in his 50s. He didn't even know how to use a computer then. And that was the first time that he learned how to use the computer. He learned about technology. But he said, okay, it's a challenge, and he embraced it. So he put in place all sorts of technologically advanced systems in the Sabah and Sarawak courts. And our Sabah and Sarawak courts is one of the most technologically advanced court in the region, actually. They even have things like AI in sentencing. You know how sentences are given by judges usually? A judge, if you commit a crime and you are convicted of the crime, a judge will give you a sentence. For example, 2 years in jail, 3 years in jail. But our Sabah and Sarawak court is very unique. They use artificial intelligence. So what happens is before the judge gives the judgment, they'll type in the type of person he is, whether he's committed the offense before, and then the proposed the proposed sentence, like for example, he should be given 2 years jail because he's committed the offense before, will come out. So it's all done by computers. And this is done by a man who, when he started the project, he didn't even know how to use a computer. So that would be my second life lesson, which is try and keep an open mind with whatever you do. It's not easy, whatever you have to face in life later on. Once you are in university and once you start working, there may be things that you do that you think that you're not good at, but just keep trying, keep an open mind, and you will eventually be good at it. So that was my time after SPM. I was in Herdwood House School in Surrey. Then I got into Oxford for law, and I did a law course. Okay, to be honest, and every time I tell this story to everyone, people are surprised because I really enjoy and love the law now. I really enjoy being a lawyer. But I hated law at Oxford. I didn't enjoy it simply because Oxford has a very traditional form of teaching law. They made us do very old law subjects like Roman law, and I had to learn Latin, understand Latin. So that was really boring for me. After a year or so, I thought there's no way I'm gonna give this up because this is really something I cannot do. I went to JPA. I went to my tutor and told them, I can't do this. I wanted to do something more glamorous, like what Auntie Sue did, which is politics, philosophy, and economics. But then both said, no way, especially JPA. JPA said, we gave you a scholarship in law, so there's no way they allowed me to change it. So I went on with it and I completed my degree. Then I came back to Malaysia and I decided, because I hated law so much in Oxford, I am not going to do it. I'm not going to do my professional exams, because for a law degree, we have our degree and then we need to do our professional exams. That can usually be done in the UK doing your bar, or doing a professional exam in in Malaysia. But because I was a government scholar, they sponsored for my professional exam in Malaysia, and I came back to do it. And we usually do it at University of Malaya, UM. So I at that time was a bit fed up with law already, thought it wasn't for me, and I didn't want to pursue it. And I thought, okay, fine, I'll just use my law degree. It's a decent degree. I'll go and get it, pursue another career. Then somebody said, why don't you meet the Dean of UM Law Faculty? His name was Professor Balan. He's passed on already, but he's been my mentor all these years. And then I sat down with him and he said, why are you being such a silly girl? You have a law degree. You feel that it's not for you. And that the reason why you feel that it's not good for you, it's not something that you enjoy, is because you're not good at it. And how do you become good at it? You only can become good at it if you work hard until you become good at it. And he gave me an analogy of riding a bike. When you were learning to ride a bike, the first few times you ride a bike, you keep falling. And how do you enjoy it? But the moment you are good at riding the bike, then it becomes something that you're good at and that you will enjoy. So until you learn to ride that bike, he said, you will never enjoy law. I thought about it and I said, okay, fine. I'll give it a try. So I did my professional exams, and I did my pupillage, which is the 9-month training with my current firm, Lee Hishamuddin. Then I realized that, yeah, he's right, because the moment I got good at it, the moment I managed to go to court and I started arguing in court, I started submitting, I started writing contracts, and it became easier and easier and easier as I worked harder and harder and harder. And when it became easier, obviously, I liked it more and more. And now, if you ask me, if there's anything else I would be, I'd say I can't imagine being anything else than being a lawyer. So that is, I suppose, the third lesson, which is that whatever it is, life is not easy, and things that are thrown at you will never be easy. And what you need to do is just work hard and persevere. Because what I find when I interview students of your generation is a lot of people are focused on passion. I'm passionate about this. I'm passionate about human rights. I'm passionate about certain areas. Then they don't realize that with the passion, to reach that passion, you need to also couple it with hard work. And just because you're not passionate about something, you look alternatively, just because you're not passionate about something, it doesn't mean that you're not going to be good at it. And it doesn't mean that it's not going to be something that that you will be able to embrace later on in life. So that's my law journey. And I'm glad I followed the advice of the Dean of the Law Faculty, because I wouldn't be here. I don't know where I'd be, what kind of career I would have taken. I would probably have been miserable, because right now I love my work. I'm now, as far as my job is concerned, I'm a partner of a firm called Lee Hishamuddin Allen and Gladhill, or LHAG. We are one of the biggest law firms in Malaysia. We have about 100 lawyers, and we do a lot of things. Because we are one of the biggest law firms, we do most of the kind of cases that you hear. Many of the 1MDB cases we were involved in. We do a lot of court cases, we do tax-related cases. And for me, I head my technology, media, and telecommunications department. So I do what you call technology law. I'm sure you've heard of lawyers doing things like court-related law, drafting contracts. Not many people would have heard about technology law and technology lawyers, because we are a very new breed in the legal field, and which is why I feel that it's something that you guys should consider. I've heard that in KYS there aren't many you who are interested to pursue a legal career, because you guys probably don't think it's a glamorous enough job. But the area that I'm doing especially is very interesting, because our lives are all touched by technology, and there are things that we need to put in place as far as the law is concerned to be in line with technology. I'll give an example. Say Harvina, she sends an email to me and she says, Auntie Adeline, I got this really nice ring that I want to sell you for 10,000 ringgit. And she shows me a picture of the ring. And I email back and say, hey, sure, Harvina, pretty ring. I'll buy it from you for 10,000 ringgit. So she then sends me another email and says, okay, fine. Can you bank in the money into this account? So I bank in the 10,000 ringgit into the account. And I wait and wait and wait, and the ring doesn't arrive. So I call her up, because all this while I've been communicating via email, right? Call up and say, hey, Harvina, where's the ring you promised to send me? I paid you the 10,000 ringgit already. And Harvina then tells me, actually, Auntie, I never talked to you about a ring. I never emailed you about a ring. So it's likely that, you know, her email account may have been hacked, or she's cheating me. I don't know, right? So that's what I do as a technology lawyer. In that sort of case, I'll have to figure out, is the contract valid between me and Harvina? Was she really cheating me? I need to look at her IP address and the IP address of the person who sent me the email. Was it really her? Can I connect it to her computer? And then you need forensics investigators for that. And then, was there anyone who witnessed that she signed the document? Who did the money go to? The bank account. Then we need to have another forensics investigator to look into the bank account. So these are really interesting areas of the law. And it's a very new area. And it's something that I think you guys should consider if you're interested. Okay, and back to the lesson about the third life lesson, which is hard work. And I think that if I would never have gotten into it, had I not listened to the advice of the dean of the law school, which is like, work hard, persevere, be good, then you'll be able to enjoy what you're doing. Okay. So with that third life lesson, I think I can end here, but I wanted to share a story first, because like I said, I've really not been exposed to KYS for so long. But when my daughter asked, after her PT3 exams in 2019, that she wanted to join KYS, I said, okay, go ahead. And you know why? Because of one KYS student that I worked with. His name is Khalif Ahya. He was doing SPM in 2016. I don't know, maybe the more senior students will know him. He told me he was in the ICV batch. So he came to my firm immediately after SPM 2016, end of 2016, and worked as my intern. Okay. And you see, interns don't usually work directly with partners because they're very young. And usually they will come in, they will have a lawyer assigned to them, and then the lawyer will report to the partner. But of course, there will be some engagements with the partner. But for Khalif, I worked directly and individually with him. And why? Because he was doing very, very high profile work for me. Bribery cases, swing companies, technology-related cases. And the reason why is, okay, first of all, he's smart. And I know all of you are smart because you wouldn't be in KYS. You're the cream, and you wouldn't be in KYS if you weren't smart. But also, he had a sense of maturity, which I didn't see in many interns, right? He was resourceful. He was very driven when it came to his work. And there was one example. I remember we were moving offices at that time. We couldn't have access to email. And there was something really urgent for a client. And I was working directly with him. I said, okay, what are we going to do now? So he said, don't worry. So he went off and then delivered the document to me very early the next morning. And I said, Khalif, where did you do the work? Because there was no access to email. I said, I hung around overnight at a McDonald's near the office. So that's the kind of resourcefulness he had as a person and as my intern. I was very proud of him. Unfortunately, he's decided not to be a lawyer. He's doing engineering in Germany under a JPA scholarship, and I'm still very much in touch with him. But I had a chat with him, I think, before he left for Germany, and I asked him, well, where do you get these skills? Where do you get this maturity? And he actually told me it's from his experience as a student in KYS because of the opportunities given. So I think I'm going to end with that, because at the end of the day, I think all of you should make use of the opportunities that's being offered by your school. It's not something that you can get elsewhere. And I've always been impressed by KYS student. Excel academically, but do things that are in line with what your school promotes. Take advantage of opportunities like this, and hopefully the world is your oyster. There's a future ahead of you that you can do anything that you want. Okay, I'm going to end there, Harvina. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Auntie Adeline. I promise I would never con you. But anyway, that was really great legal advice and really great advice, especially for those who want to pursue a career in law, like Azmir, Amani, and myself. Yeah, and it's also really wonderful how you manage to do what you love and still do so great in your academic. That really is inspiring. So now we shall move on to the Q&A session. First question, what type of cases do you normally handle? Tell us your experience on a case that you remember till this very day.
Okay, two questions there. The cases that I normally handle, as I mentioned just now, because I do technology related work, most of my cases are technology related cases. So the work that I do are very much related to whatever new technological developments that you see on a day-to-day basis right now, like, machine to machine, Internet of Things. For example, self-driving cars. I gave an example just now about you cheating me, Harvina. There's a few examples that I can give about the kind of work that I do. Self-driving cars. You have self-driving cars, Google cars, and they can drive by themselves, right? The normal cars that we have right now, when someone negligently drives it and then hits someone and kills someone, you can charge the driver because the person is in charge of the car or is in control of the car, and the person can be charged for negligent driving. But when it comes to self-driving car, who do you charge? Do you charge the person in the car because he may be reading a book, he may not be paying attention to his surroundings, or can you actually charge the company in charge who built the car for the negligence? Those are the kind of interesting issues that I have in my day-to-day practice. Another example is the issue of privacy. It has become a very big issue in Malaysia because nothing is private anymore. You know that when you use your handphone, you use social media, everyone knows what you are. So the question, one of the legal issues that arise these days is the issue of the right to privacy. For example, Google, you know how they collect data when it comes to Google Earth? They have cars driving around KL. You may have seen them. They have these Google Earth cars driving around KL with cameras all over the car. So that car will take pictures and then it will be uploaded on Google Earth. So what if one day the car takes a picture of you with a boyfriend or someone with a girlfriend, and you don't want your parents to see that because you are in a car, in another car, and the pictures have been taken by that Google Earth car. Okay, Google then uploads the image on Google Earth for everyone to see, and you don't want people to see that you've been hanging around with your boyfriend, especially not your parents, right? Do you have a right to ask Google to take it down? So that's another question that I do quite a bit, the issue of the right to privacy. So that's to answer the first question, which are the cases that I do right now. But when it comes to memorable cases, I think the most memorable time in my career as a lawyer would be the time when I was doing more court-related work in my younger days. So in those days, I used to go to Sungai Buloh prison. I volunteered as a lawyer there. So I would spend my weekends going to see Sungai Buloh prisoners. Unfortunately, and very, very sadly at that time, many juveniles were actually placed in prisons together with adults. So I met quite a few of the juveniles. And And when you speak to them, and I represented them in court because they didn't have the money to be to engage lawyers. So I represented them as a volunteer lawyer, and they were mostly kids around your age, actually, about 16, 17. They were charged for offenses like stealing motorbikes, stealing radios, and for some of them, it was simply because of the background that they were in. And they came from broken families, families of very low income group. And some of the cases involved issues between them and their step parents. There was one case that I remember was so memorable, was this boy who was accused of stealing TV. And then he told me his defense was that he didn't even steal the TV. His stepfather filed a police report, and he was charged based on that police report because his stepfather didn't want him around. So that made me feel that, you know, how lucky we all are. I think all of you are very lucky, because sometimes where you are in life would really be dependent on who you are born to. And that boy that I was seeing, he was a bright boy, really enjoyed conversations with him. But unfortunately, his life was that kind of a life that didn't allow him to pursue his ambitions in a way that you were given the opportunity, and you are given the opportunity to pursue your ambitions. Another very interesting case that I did when I was a volunteer lawyer. So I was interviewing this guy who was being charged on drug possession. And you know, drug possession actually carries with it the death penalty. Sat down with him, I realized actually this guy is very smart because of every time I spoke to him, the answers that he gave me, very, very, very educated answers. So I asked him, what did he do? He said he was an engineer. And we talked a bit more. He was actually my senior in the BTO program that I was in. He would have been about 3 or 4 years my senior. And but there I was, and there he was. I asked him, what is it? Why did he reach there? And he said he dabbled in drugs. Yeah, and when it comes to drugs, it's a real slippery slope, he said. He tried a bit, thought everything was under control, but eventually he couldn't control it. And that's why he ended up where he was. So it's a very sad story, but those are cases which I thought there are many other memorable cases. I'm happy to sit down with you, Harvina and Azmi, since you guys want to do law, to discuss one of these days. But those are my 2 most memorable cases that I've done.
Thank you so much for the answer, Auntie Adeline. So now we shall move on to the second question, which is, if you could give a piece of advice to students out there who are interested in taking up law, what would it be and why?
Okay. Law, I think, is not as glamorous as people expect them to be, the career to be. I think you guys have watched a lot of Criminal Minds, Suits. Yes, you come into my firm, you go to the 6th floor where all the clients go, and everyone will say, wow, it looks like Suits. Yes, it does look like Suits. But you go 1 floor down to my area, to my office, and you will see piles and piles of boxes, piles and piles of documents, because that's what we do day in and day out. We will go through documents, we will read, we will understand. So I know many law students will say they want to do law because they are good at speaking, they are good at debating, but that is actually more TV related advice than anything else, because you watch all these TV courtroom dramas. The thing that is relevant to law and what you need to be able to do when you decide to do law is read. You have to have interest in reading. I think I read hundreds, not thousands of pages a day. in my day-to-day life, even until now, because that is actually what we are doing. Not really the debating part or the speaking. It's more reading, and that is something that you have to have interest in, and you have to persevere. You have to be passionate about it, because it is a long-term career. It's not something that you can do within a year or two. And I gave my own example where I really didn't enjoy it, but I'm enjoying it now. And that is after a 20, 30-year career that I have managed to enjoy it, and I've managed to say, okay, look, I'm comfortable with it. And that's because of the hard work that I've put in. So it is a lot of hard work, and you have to remember that when you decide to do law. And passion. I mean, the thing about passion is, when I interview students, everyone says they're passionate, but passion has to be coupled with hard work. And this is a bit out of topic because you wanted to ask me about law, but at the same time, I think this, whatever advice I give in relation to choosing law and in relation to hard work applies to all kinds of careers that you may embark on. There was a girl I interviewed a few years ago. She was an Oxford candidate. Sometimes I do interviews because my clients who are sponsors of scholarships for Oxford students, and they asked me to do interviews for them. So I met this girl, very, very smart girl. She was in a college in Oxford, Oriel College in Oxford. And believe it or not, her choice of subject was music. And I went to see her family, and I went to see the parents. Parents were not very, very well off. Father was a clerk, and he was disabled. He had an accident, he was disabled. So parents definitely couldn't afford to send her off to Oxford, which is why the company asked me to see her. So she was always interested, passionate with music. And this is where passion, when it comes to any career, law or otherwise, will come in. And parents, of course, being the Asian parent, I'd have the same, I would react the same way. When she told parents that she wanted to pursue a career in music, parents said no. So asked her to do her A-levels. She did 4 A-levels, all science subjects. The mother said, you can do your career in music, you can pursue your career in music, as long as you get all A+, or I don't know what it is these days, A stars in all these subjects. And she did it. She did it. She got top students for her school. I think she was in Methodist College in PJ, top student. And then she went back to mother and said, I don't care. I want to do music now. I want to pursue my passion in music now. Mother said, okay, go ahead. Then parents, she actually went ahead and did a diploma, her own diploma in music, and applied, worked very hard and applied to Oxford and got into Oxford and eventually got a scholarship. So at the end of the day, you may have passion in whatever you do. You also need to work hard to complement that passion. That applies to the legal career and applies to anything that you do in life. Okay?
Thank you so much, Auntie Adeline. It really means a lot to have someone as experienced as you giving us all this advice. So before we move on, there are some questions in the Q&A box that are directed to both Auntie Suhaila and also Auntie Adeline. The first question is for Auntie Suhaila, and the remaining are for Auntie Adeline. So while we move on, both of the speakers may type out the answers in the Q&A box. Yeah. Okay, so thank you so much, Auntie Adeline. Now for our final speaker of the evening, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Nur Faiza Abu Tahrim.
Okay, thank you very much, Harvina. Okay, Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. Okay, so I hope you had a good day and good time, okay, this afternoon. Right, okay, first of all, may I share the screen, Harvina?
Yeah.
Okay, hang on, ya. Okay. Okay, before I start, so actually, what's the technical error just now? Okay, but anyway, okay, before I start, I would like to ask one question. Okay, when two people can get along with each other, okay, what is happening between them? Or maybe what kind of, you know, yeah, what's actually happening, what's actually present, okay, between these two people. So you may answer it, okay, in the chat, what do you call it, chat area. Okay, maybe you can try. So the Invictus group of students, you can just try and type. Okay, in this case, so what can you describe, okay, normally, okay, when two people get along together? Okay, I can just try and answer from the chat box. Okay, you can try. Or maybe I can just ask Harvina, you yourself. Okay, any idea? How do you normally describe when you can get along with your friend?
It's chemistry.
Oh, sorry. So just now maybe you can already saw the answer. But anyway, so don't worry. I'm not going to give you a chemistry lecture, okay, this afternoon. Okay, but yes, the answer is, okay, there's chemistry between them. Okay, so the word chemistry itself is actually from the Greek origin, okay, which is kimia. Actually, yeah, it's called kimia actually, and describes the reaction, okay, various elements have, okay, when they meet each other. Okay, so this is actually this situation is referred to, okay, when people, they can get along very well, so they are having chemistry. Okay, right. Indeed, okay, this question about chemistry, okay, plays a major part of my life, so I will actually explain more, okay, later on. Okay, but first of all, let me share a bit of my I'm Nurfaiza Habutarim, so that's my full name. So I will explain to you what this actually refers. Okay, chemist. Habutarim. So just a little my background, okay, my learning journey. Okay, I guess I'm sure my audience here are familiar with this particular batch, right? So yes, I spent my secondary school days in Convent Bukit Nenas, okay, CBN. Okay, and okay, had my SRP as well as SPM there. So throughout 5 years in Convent Bukit Nenas. So actually both of us, Auntie Adeline and I, are the convent student, yeah, convent alumni. Okay, but she's from Kajang and I'm from Convent Bukit Nenas, Kuala Lumpur. Okay, okay, after that, okay, after SPM, okay, I'm probably not as lucky as Miss Adeline to go abroad directly. Okay, but like what people say, rezeki ada di mana-mana. Okay, maybe you have heard that, right? Okay, rezeki ada di mana-mana, and the rezeki can come in many different ways. Okay, so and in my case, I managed to get an offer still from, okay, also from JPA, okay, but not a scholarship, it's a loan, okay, to do an A-level, and after that to pursue my undergraduate study in United Kingdom, okay, UK. So so this is where the place that I did my A-levels in Pusat Pendidikan Persediaan. Okay, they call it PPPITM in short. Okay, it's in Shah Alam. So under this particular loan, GPA loan, and it's called the pinjaman boleh ubah. Right. So if I'm not mistaken, that particular kind of offer, okay, this loan is still available, okay, these days. So what I did was I had my A-levels for 2 years. So then only, okay, likewise the process of the university application, okay, to UK universities, I need to fill up the UCAS form. Okay, same like today, okay, like what your seniors are actually experiencing. Okay, now okay, to grow for UK universities, you need to fill up the UCAS form and so on. Okay, it's the same like what I did. Okay, and one of the universities, okay, I chose Oxford. Okay, under this particular college, okay, this is a logo for Somerville College, right? Okay, so and I managed to secure the offer. I got the conditional offer to Oxford, reading chemistry. Okay, and it's a 4-year course, chemistry 4-year course, and it's yeah. So actually, I was the only person or the only student who managed to secure this particular offer from Oxford from this PPP ITM during my batch. Okay. So yeah, so this process was actually continuous from SPM to get the A levels, and then to go for to do my undergraduate studies in Oxford University. Okay. Right, but my next here, okay, this particular logo represents University Kebangsaan Malaysia logo. So what happened was I worked first. I worked for a few years. Then only I decided to pursue my postgraduate course to do my PhD in University Kebangsaan Malaysia. So again, I will actually elaborate on that in a while. Okay. Okay, like what I've mentioned just now, okay, I will not go through chemistry lesson, but as an academician, I okay, always like what do you call it, giving a lecture to students. Okay, I like to share slides, so that's why you can see the difference between the PPE student just now, the lawyer, okay, and I'm as a chemistry lecturer here. So I'm sharing the slide with you, okay, during this particular talk. Okay, now, okay, a lot of people work in different field compared to what they started, okay, what they studied, what I mean. Okay, in my case, I wanted to stay in this chemistry field. So I graduated with the intention to stay in chemistry, okay, stay in chemistry field. Okay, I applied across the board. Okay, I applied to the industries, I applied to colleges in teaching and so on. Okay, but this particular education or work in the education line came first. So I grabbed that opportunity. So I started to join as an A-level lecturer in, they call it College Matrikulasi Yayasan Saat. It was in Lembah Beringin, so that's the name given. Okay, and now it's called KYUEM. Okay. So I started to join as an A-level lecturer there, and I like it. Okay, so I stayed. I decided to stay, and once I'm in that field, I wanted to go all the way. Okay, so it's a continuous learning process. Okay, so although like what I've mentioned just now, okay, from I graduated, okay, in Oxford University, okay, and until to get a PhD. So that's not just within 3 years and so on. So I work first, okay. But once I decided to be in that field, I want to go all the way. I want to achieve, okay, something. And here what I'm now, okay, I managed to secure the work and in University Kebangsaan Malaysia as a lecturer. Okay, so just a brief explanation about the career path as of an academician. Okay, it's a whole lot more than just lecturing. Okay, so most people may think that academician, okay, just simply giving lectures to students, so, but it's not. Okay, it's a lot more than that. So I just mentioned few here. Okay, you need to involve your work in your research. okay, once you are doing research, you need to publish your work. So writing, yes, you need to write. You need to publish in journals. And it's a very demanding work now because universities, as if you may aware, that they are actually ranking in the journal. So we need to actually publish in the high ranking journals and so on. So apart from that, okay, our work, we need to supervise the students, okay, supervise in terms of their project, final year project, in terms of supervision of the master student, supervision of a PhD students, and so on. Okay, and then okay, you need to also become a mentor of your junior or even the students itself. Okay, right. Control of an exam, yes, you need to prepare the exam for your students to sit. Okay. Then marking, okay, there's a lot more to do. Okay, and lately still we need to do some administrative work as well. Okay, in this particular scope of work. So again, like what I mentioned in the first place, it's a lot more than just lecturing. And we sometimes describe it as a career of multitasking. Okay, so maybe some of you, your parents who are also academician may agree with me. Okay, you need to multitask area. Whereas if you compare with a non-academician or basically an industrial player here, so normally we focus on according to their specific industry requirements. Okay, and some are managed with dedicated regulators. It can be in the area of the finance, the servicing, trade, travel, and the list goes on. Okay, what I want to compare here, okay, let's say you graduated, okay, with a chemistry degree, and you want to keep to be in that field. So you may have a choice here whether to become a chemistry lecturer or a chemist. Okay, so these are basically the differences. If let's say you like to become an academician, you get the idea that you will actually deal with all this. And compared to the chemist, it's very specific. Okay, you work in that particular area, okay, particular industry, and okay, you focus on that. Okay, but back to my slide just now. Okay, remember that I mentioned to you. Okay, I just actually purposely put my full title here. Okay, that's the reason. Okay, because I just want to show you that if you are graduated in chemistry degree, you can actually become a professional chemist too. Okay, not by just entering industry field. Okay, so what you need to do is you can become a member of in the Institute Kimia Malaysia. Okay, so that's that's a professional body. Okay, so in this case, yes, I am one of the members. Okay, in IKM member. So you can actually starting from if I'm not mistaken, last 2 years, okay, you can actually use this title here. So we see it as chemist. Okay. So what actually professional chemist? The advantage to be a professional chemist is basically yeah, we can actually go to the court, just not just Miss Adlin, maybe dealing with the kind of cases. So, but as a professional chemist, you can actually be the witness. Okay, if there's anything regarding analysis, okay, that that you want to mention, okay, in the court, if you let's say you were asked by someone, so you have you are actually eligible, yeah, to be one of the witnesses. Okay, then apart from that, yes, for example, ISO, okay, for the audit and so on, okay, you are certified, okay, a chemist, you can actually sign all those documents, okay. So for a lecturer, actually, most of us actually are members of Institute Kimia Malaysia. So we are also a professional chemist by staying in this academic field. Okay, right. Okay, so what I want to relate here is KYS prepares you very well. Okay, because I know here my audience are mainly KYS students. Okay, KYS prepares you very well in terms of curriculum, okay, the extra curriculum, leadership, project, okay, time management, and can remember that Ms. Adlin mentioned just now. Okay, the second speaker, okay, explained just now what she got in during A levels, meaning she exposed to the drama school, and so KYS students, you can experience it now. Okay, you don't have to actually go abroad. Okay, then only you experience all those. So you have, for example, is very good in acting. Okay, I've seen her act. Okay, so in that case, use this opportunity very well. Okay, use it wisely. Okay, take the challenge. Okay, because okay, like most of us at our time, okay, we need to actually go somewhere else in order to get all these experiences. Okay, in your case, in KYS, has already prepares you, okay, so well. Okay, for this particular session, okay, this Invictus group, okay, thank you very much, Invictus Bash, as well as Mr. Rama for organizing this. Okay, I can see the leadership. I can see how you handle this particular program, how you approach us speakers by sending the emails, and that's so great. I mean, in terms of you are only from 5 and you can actually do all those. You can organize all these events so well. Okay, so this particular experience, you not all students get it. Okay, so in this case, please grab this opportunity. Okay, and use it wisely. Okay, so before that, okay, I just want to share some photos here. So can you spot Miss Adlin and Miss Suhaila here from Auntie Suhaila and Auntie Adlin from the photos? So these are actually the photos from my university days in Oxford, in Somerville College, Oxford. And to answer okay, I just want to read the first question that being asked to Auntie Sue. I think it's something about the most memorable experience in university. Okay, so in my case, maybe I can just share is this particular gown here that I was wearing here. Okay, we call it a commoner's gown. So we, as an Oxford student, okay, we need to wear it during the exam. Okay, that's probably different compared to all other universities. Yes, so we actually wore uniform during exam, and it's a black and white color here. So that's one thing different, okay, from other universities. Okay, and here, okay, just to share with you, okay, my college mate, and only Somerville College. Okay, so sorry, 4 chemistry ladies in my batch in that particular college. Okay, so I had another 3 more cosmates, okay, guys, okay, from the same college here. So, and I was the only person in this particular photo here wearing that commerce gown, because in my final exam, I took different advanced paper compared to the other 3. Okay, so I took organic chemistry as well as inorganic chemistry paper, but the rest they took physical chemistry. So I was the last. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was the last paper. So I was the only one wearing that particular, we call it the common gown. Okay, and then it's just a celebration here down there after the final exam. And okay, the one here, okay, don't miss Oxford or Cambridge. Okay, this is one of the activities during summer. During spring. Okay. And here, okay, these two photos here, that's Auntie Sue. Okay, this is actually, they was actually taken during, if I'm not mistaken, during the Hari Raya, or yeah, I think it's Hari Raya gathering in Auntie Sue's room. Okay. Yeah, she's a good cook. Okay, so we actually gathered there. And here, okay, you can notice there, you can spot Auntie Adeline there. So Adeline, I find the most, what you call it, wanita Melayu terakhir maybe, from the photo, so that we can share here. Okay, this is also taken in one of the Hari Raya celebration. Okay, with Malaysian, okay, in Oxford in that particular year. Okay, so before I end as well, okay, this was me in 1999 in this particular inorganic chemistry lab. Okay, my final year, yeah, it's in my final year, what you call it, lab work. Okay, so because in Oxford University, okay, it's a 4-year course to get an MChem. Then the final year is basically totally lab work. Okay, and you need to actually submit the thesis or dissertation or the report basically based on your work. So I'm working here during weekends as well. So this was taken, if I'm not mistaken, is and Alhamdulillah in 2013 I managed to bring my family. Okay, we had a chance to go to UK. And I brought them along, get to visit this my alma mater. And even though we couldn't actually get into the lab, obviously because it's very restricted area. So, but I managed to bring them, okay, to this particular building. So it says there inorganic, okay, inorganic chemistry lab, and just to show to my children, okay, this is where your mom, okay, spent 4 years. Okay, okay, we had that as well in here, okay, for the inorganic lesson, as well as all the lab work. Okay, so before I end, again, similar to what Auntie Sue has mentioned, okay, regardless of what job you do your best. Okay, even you now as a student, okay, do your best, become a very good student. Okay, so if let's say later on you become a lawyer, you become an economist or even chemist, so do your best as well. Okay, remember that the process of learning is continuous. So in my case, I got my PhD just a couple of years back. So, but I still continue to learn. Okay, every time okay, the students registered, okay, we have different cohort, different kind of people that you need to meet up. So you need to actually prepare, and the learning process continues. Okay. So with that, I think I end my session. Okay, thank you. Okay, back to you, Harbina.
Thank you so much, Auntie Faisal, for making the time to come up with slides and for sharing all the memories. That was really wonderful. And thank you so much for all the valuable input. I'm sure that not only those interested in chemistry, but everyone else as well must have learned many, many things from this speech. So now we shall move on to the Q&A session. So the first question is, what would your advice be to someone who's still searching for a career path that's most suitable for them?
Okay, the advice to, can I just see again the question, Harvina? I cannot see. Okay, advice to someone who's still searching for a career path that most suitable for them. Okay, so in this case, yeah, passion is one thing. So I think in this stage, all of you are in your Form 5, right? Most of you are here. So I guess by now you may actually have you know what's your interest, okay? So in my case, okay, maybe I can relate with my experience. Okay, in my case, I like science, okay, from the very beginning. So, but in my case, the teacher as well as lecturer plays also an important role. So I really love my chemistry lesson. I plan to, okay, from that day, I want to pursue something that's related to chemistry. But to tell you the story actually, what a JPA offers me in terms of the loan was to pursue a degree in pharmacy. Okay, that's actually the first the offer that I was given, okay, during the A level, okay, to pursue in to continue in pharmacy degree. But in Oxford, okay, in Oxford, Oxford does not offer chemistry degree. So still I find something related, okay, to chemistry. So something related to the subject, okay, that I love too. So in that case, it's either I don't have really much choice actually, okay, because I don't really, not to say that I don't really like, yeah, but because I didn't take physics for my A levels, so I won't be actually continuing to the engineering so on. Okay. So in that case, I make a choice and to apply for chemistry degree, okay, in Oxford. So by then actually you already knew what kind of interest you are in. Okay. So because you need to do the best. Passion is important. Okay, you need to love the subject actually, then only it works better or smooth. So I guess that's probably just some advices if it's relevant. Okay, right.
Thank you, Auntie Faiza, for that wonderful answer. So we shall move on to our second question. Question is, what was the best and worst phase of your life?
Wow, the best and worst. Okay, the best and worst phase of my life. Okay, the best actually phase of my life. If the best, okay, if okay, I can't just say that getting married may be one of the best days of my life. Okay, but if let's say related to this particular talk today, so one of the best phase is basically to get an offer to go to the UK. Because by during that time I didn't know that I will actually get into Oxford yet. Okay, because to get the offer is basically just stating, okay, you get this particular loan and do the A levels here for 2 years, and then you will go to the UK to pursue your study. Okay, so I guess that actually one of the best phase, and I enjoyed, okay, my time in UK. And the worst phase, I think not to say worst phase, but maybe maybe I can just let's say twist the question a bit, to see maybe what I regret most. So probably in terms of I didn't decide to pursue my PhD in the early stage, because just later on, okay, that I decided, okay, to stay and join the public university. So in that case, then only I had the chance, okay, to pursue my PhD and to enhance my career actually. So if let's say you have the chance, okay, if let's say you know that you want to stay in the academic career, so probably what you can do is you can straight away continue the postgraduate study, okay, doing your masters, and as well as continue the PhD work at the early stage. Because my colleague in UKM, I have 10 years gap, let's say, with my junior, but they are already associate professor. Okay, because what they did, okay, right after they graduated, so they have already decided to stay in that particular field. So they continued to pursue the PhD degree straight away. So actually, I lost a bit in terms of the seniority there. So maybe that's the worst part of in terms of my career, I think. Okay, but anyway, I really love my job. Okay, I enjoy it. Okay, so I try and do it well, inshallah. Okay, Amina, back to you.
Thank you so much, Auntie Faiza, for the wonderful answer. So now we will move on to the general Q&A session. So anyone who has any general questions for the speakers that you are longing to ask, please type your questions in the chat box along with who the question is directed to. If you wish for your question to be answered by anyone, please type the word general before asking your question. So the first question is a general question, meaning any of the three speakers can answer. Question is, how do you beat procrastination and overcome laziness?
So you want to take that?
Your mic too is muted.
Yeah, maybe the lecturer should answer that. Dr. Faiza, you should answer that.
And I missed out that first question just now.
How not to procrastinate? I think a lecturer should answer that.
Oh, not to procrastinate or no. So I think people in this house know that better. Okay. So in that case, in terms of giving myself as a lecturer, okay, definitely you have deadlines. You know that your students are waiting for the marks. You know that your bosses are waiting for your all the deadlines. You know, so you need to actually set so you just know your responsibility. Okay, you being a very responsible person, okay, you need to actually do it. Okay, so that you can actually meet all deadlines. But anyway, to beat that laziness, that's a bit hard to answer, right? So I'm not to say that I'm so hardworking person, but as long as I can meet up the deadline, so I think it should be fine. So it doesn't matter whether I need to stay late at night, but you know, it depends on an individual way to handle it. So maybe also I think want to add on to that.
I think for me, right, I'm always very competitive. So whatever I do, and it's exactly what Sue was saying just now, right? That at the end of the day, try your best. And you also, Faiza, try your best. Don't remain mediocre, whatever you try. Which is, and it can be anything. It can be when I played hockey. It can be when I was doing drama. The moment you put your mind and so your effort to anything, I always feel that that effort has to be 100% effort. And I'm not talking about just studying. I'm talking about everything that you do in life. And as was advised by my lecturer, the Prof. Balan, is that whatever you do, you have to work hard to be good and enjoy it. Therefore, because of that, you'll be able to enjoy it. So that to me is how I overcome any laziness, because I know that if I'm not satisfied that whatever I do is not 100% what I'm satisfied with, then I keep working at it. And that in itself will beat any feeling of procrastinating or laziness.
Yeah, maybe Auntie Sue will add to that as well. I think in consulting, you normally work as a team, and I think everywhere else, not necessarily just in consulting. And when you work in a team, I mean, each of everyone is kind of like a contributing to something to getting the job done. And you missing out on your part of procrastinating or being lazy will not just have an impact on you yourself, but it will impact, you know, the deliverable of the whole team, and that is certainly not a good feeling to have. And as a student, even when you're still more or less personally responsible on how much you study, when do you want to study, you know, whether you do your homework today or tomorrow or something like that. But in that case, you know, it also affects your performance as a whole in that sense as well. I mean, you will start getting backlogs and things like that, and you may even end up not having finished some of the work that you need to do because you have to move on to another thing. So think of it, you know, that yeah, fine, you know, people procrastinate once in a while. You need to be lazy once in a while. I mean, not everyone is 100% productive 24/7 in that sense. Okay, you need that time to say, okay, I'm not going to do this, and I'm just going to put this away for a bit and do it later. But understand, you know, give yourself that time, but understand what exactly you're working towards and how much time you need for it. And if other people are dependent on it as well, then more so that it becomes important for you to get on with it quickly. So yeah, so it actually varies by person to person, as Auntie Faiz has said, but find what works for you. I mean, ultimately procrastinating and laziness is just no good, you know, in whatever sense you look at it. In that case, yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much for those wonderful answers. Moving on to the second question. This is also a general question, so any of the speakers may answer. The question is, as Muslim women studying in a foreign country, has any of you faced any form of discrimination we often see today towards Muslims? If yes, what did you do to stop it?
I guess so far in Oxford, we didn't have that kind of problem, right? Julian, you agree with me?
Yeah.
In terms
Kind
of discrimination, not really, but yeah, or maybe Sue, you want to say something?
I don't know, maybe Auntie has well, I think it's kind of, I wouldn't say that that you are being discriminated against per se in that sense, but being pushed to prove yourself once in a while. I think that happened quite a bit, and I think Auntie Sue went there quite differently than Auntie Faiza and Auntie Adlin. They were there as pure undergrad. I was there as a postgrad, but doing an undergrad degree. So I would like to think that I kind of like had the best of both worlds, and on top of it, I was there as a Rhodes Scholar. There are many privileges that come with being a Rhodes Scholar. But with those privileges come the kind of like a pressure, or even, you know, challenges to continue to feel that you need to prove yourself to others. And I was being put in that position many times. But I think you just need to kind of like understand that everyone has his or her own challenges, actually, you know, and being put in a position to prove yourself may not necessarily be the worst thing that can happen to you. You know, it does make you feel so much stressful at times, but it also allows you to really show the people that, okay, this is what I made of, this is what I know, this is what I don't know, and allowing them also the opportunity to get to know you better. And I think being discriminated again, not necessarily, but being constantly, maybe not constant, but definitely there were a few occasions when I was being made to prove myself and asked to, show what else can I do in that sense. And especially when you look like this and you wear a headscarf, you are a Rhodes Scholar, you doing PPE with some of the most fanciest people, kind of that kind of pressure came to me quite a bit. But I never was pushed into a corner and say, look, you're not worthy of being here or anything like that. But yeah, I think take it all in your stride. I mean, if it gets too bad, if really you're discriminated again and it gets very bad, in Oxford, I believe there are channels where you can use to voice your feelings and get support on all those things. So I wouldn't worry so much about that. Ultimately, just be your best self and show them who you are and let them take you as who you are. Yeah, basically. I hope that answers the question in one way or another.
I completely agree with Auntie Sue, because I think there is, sometimes you do feel that discrimination, but then it's not necessarily a bad thing, because you see how it's how you react to it. And many times in, not only when I was overseas, because now I also do some overseas related work. I do talks overseas as well. There's always a perception that that as a Muslim, you're not maybe at the same level. And what I do personally is I just take that as a challenge. And when I do anything and when I have to present myself as a Muslim, I think what we work hard and and this applies to also the girls there, yeah, because at the end of the day, in a career like mine, it's very, very much male dominated. I can be in a boardroom, I'll be the only woman most of the time. And to prove yourself as a woman, as a Muslim woman, requires hard work. And what I do is I work hard and be so good that at the end of the day, nobody can say anything except that you're good. Yeah. So there have been situations of discrimination, not when I was in studying, because I think we were a bit protected, right? I think Faiza, in those as students. But I found challenges, as Auntie Sue described, more in my career. I did a presentation once, went out on a presentation on technology laws, came back down, and a man comes up to me and says, "Oh, I apologize." I said, "When you walked up there, the way you were dressed and who you are, which is, Malay woman, Malay Muslim woman, I expected it to be really bad," he said, "but you proved me wrong." So I appreciated that he told me that, but I suppose you will overcome this kind of discrimination by being good at what you're doing, because then nobody can say anything except that you are good.
Yeah. Yep. That's maybe I also just want to add one more thing that's very, very true actually. There was one time when I was doing consulting work in Saudi, and we were working at the Royal Court because we were supporting the team from the Crown Prince's office. And we were, the three of us ladies, I was one of them and two European consultants. We were like the first three people, the first three women to set foot in the Royal Court. I mean, they actually didn't have any ladies working there. Everyone was male, and everyone was so alpha male in that sense, and so it was. So we were just assigned a room in a corner, and there was a toilet that somehow they relabeled as ladies because there wasn't even such facilities in that building. And I remember how we were, of course, we had to cover ourselves and everything being in Saudi, but we were not even allowed to stand in the corridor to take some fresh air or anything like that. somebody actually came up to us, I mean, me and another colleague, and he was like, oh, it is bad enough that we let you girls in, sort of, but to see you hanging around like this in the corridor just doesn't make sense. And he was pretty upset about it. So the challenge, yes, the struggles, we would like to say the struggles were real. There will be occasions when you would be discriminated again because you look the way you look, because you're a woman, because you do certain things and whatnot. But I guess of course things like this don't change overnight. It doesn't just become better. That man didn't just come to us the next day and apologize and say, oh, I got you wrong, whatever. And even though we continued to stay there for a few months, same thing, it remained. So we really had to guard ourselves. Although we delivered on our work, although we could present to the advisor of the crown prince and whatnot, we were still being looked down upon as ladies in that sense. And this is an Islamic country as well. So it doesn't mean that, things don't normally just end in happy ending, that sort of thing. And things will continue to bug you throughout your life, whether how you look, whether how you say things, how you carry yourself and whatnot. Not being too hung up about all those is also quite key. I mean, do the best that you can be your best, and let people have their opinions about you. I mean, you can't correct each and every single one of them, and just be brave enough to have that. I think that's the answer. Yeah.
All three of you are really inspiring women, and yeah, that was really inspiring. So now, to loosen it up, we will have a bit slightly more casual question. This question is from your son, Auntie Suhaila. It's from Takris. Question is, so the question is, how were your love lives like in Oxford?
Oh gosh, I love life. Oh God, I wish I had, I wish all those more, how to put it, those Oxford gentlemen had fallen in love with me and swept me away to a land far, far away, that sort of things. I wish that could have happened, but somehow by the time I got to Oxford, I was already in a relationship with his father. And in my final year there, I was pregnant with a baby. So my love life was limited to having been a married woman and a pregnant mother to be. So the love life was so far away. It was here in Shah Alam. Chris, what kind of question is that?
Okay, maybe I can add. So that's my personal.
Many stories to tell.
Should answer this question.
Okay, I should answer the question then. Okay, to tell all of you. So this is live, live on YouTube. So actually, I met my husband in Oxford. So yeah, he took an engineering course, background. So yeah, so my love life started, probably not the first one, okay, but that's the one that ended up in marriage. Yes, I met my husband in Oxford. So yes, and he was actually in one of the photos that I showed you just now. Okay, same batch but different course, different college. Yeah, so Adeline and Auntie Sue also know him very well.
Yes, I remember that.
I remember that. Okay.
I remember when he liked you too.
But it's not love at the first sight. So it's after a few years in Oxford that okay, I think he's the one.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't
Any other love stories?
I don't have much love life in Oxford. I think I spent most of the time on the hockey field also. No men were interested, no boys were interested with a girl who was always in tracksuits and track bottom carrying a hockey stick all the time.
You never know.
But as you know, Faiza, there wasn't a love life lah.
Alright.
Tomboy used to, yeah.
So that's why I told you just now. I try and find the most wanita Melayu terakhir gambar of you, so that I can share it during this particular session. It's during the Hari Raya.
So for me, not
It
much of
was
a
at my
long
flat, right? It was at my studio flat.
Yeah, I
The,
think
the
that's true.
Raya open house. I think
Open
it was.
house. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I had quite a big studio flat at that point in time somehow.
Yeah, can accommodate all of us to have
Yeah.
dinner.
Yeah.
Okay, just sorry, all of you. We are actually like this mini reunion, and
Yeah, I did. Yeah, so but I did fall in love with my personal tutor. I must confess. He was like this 70-year-old man, but he's the most handsome guy, and
okay.
he's the kindest guy. Professor Roger Van Norden. He passed on many years ago actually, but I did really fall in love with him because he's the kindest, and me being such a horrible student that I was, being most supportive and so kind with all the things that I had to go through. So I wouldn't say that a love life at university is just between a girl and a boy, that sort of thing, but find someone who can champion you. And I think love in that sense means the support and the responsibility even that he takes upon you uh, would really be most helpful, and it's something that will warm your heart. And things can be, sometimes things can be quite rough, even in Oxford. You need that kind of support, you need that kind of person whom you can look up to, and who that if there are any problems that you face, you can more or less go and talk to him, find solutions together. And so that was something that I found really useful. He used to keep all these his sweet and chocolate wrappers in a big ball, and then there's also this a ball of rubber bands that he would keep with him, and during our like one-to-one tutorial, then he would just kind of like start peeling things off, whatever. And his room was full with so many books, like floor to ceiling everywhere. There's just enough space to sit in the two, for 2-3 people. But whenever he went through my essay, and then we say, oh, you must read this book, he would just stand up and pick a book somewhere. It may be under his table or behind their bookshelf, whatever. And yeah, and I found that such a heartwarming thing to have, and I had loved him quite a bit. So yeah.
Actually, you're right. As Auntie Sue said, it is you can find a lot of mentors when you go to a university such as Oxford. My tutor, my law tutor, I'm still in touch with him. 30 years. Professor Briggs. He's a constitutional law expert. He was advising the UK government on Brexit. And I still go and see him. He comes to Malaysia. He lectures in Singapore, and I still ask for advice from him on career. And he's also the admissions tutor for my college. So he will give me advice he will tell me about what's going on in terms of what he's looking for these days for students, his issues, of what's happening in Oxford and what the issues are with students there. And he says one of the biggest issues in Oxford is plagiarism. I saw him last I went to visit him in 2019 when I was in the UK, end of 2019, just before he said the issue that he had with students now is plagiarism, because the essays that you submit when you when you apply, many of them are plagiarized. Many of them are taken from university, from websites. And he says it's not genuine. Everyone talks about passion. Everyone talks about interest that they are not really interested in, and it shows when you do your essays for admission into Oxford. And he also told me something interesting. He asked me about KYUEM because he said that increasingly over the past few years, there are so many admissions and so many from KYUEM because he considers that a very, very good pre-university,
University, yeah.
whatever that is offered there, because he was asking what it was, because he wasn't really sure. So it's a good place to go to, I suppose, after your Form 5 year, because it seems to be a place that it's acknowledged by my own tutor. He says it has not only good A-level results, but it's a good, the students that go there seem to be very, their extracurricular activity and balance with their academic results are very good for a place like Oxford, Cambridge. So sorry, Takri, is the question that you intend asked, we diverted it to something else.
Yeah, plagiarism, actually we have software to detect it. So even in the university, so that's actually is very important for us to detect the plagiarism. In the case of, in terms of applying for what do you call it, grant, even for lecturers, so not just the students, but when we ourselves apply for research grant, so they also check for that particular plagiarism, because it can be someone's work. Okay, so in that case, maybe based on the software, is already turned out that okay, this has been published somewhere else. But so why you need to do this kind of thing? So so sometimes it's been written somewhere, but you claim it's yours. So that kind of thing. So yeah, so all of you students, so please do not plagiarize. You can cite. You do the citation. Okay, you so in terms of actually we know how to actually you can get it from somewhere else, but you need to cite. You need to write down the reference, that kind of thing. So it's not wrong. So not that you can't actually use it at all. So maybe you cite where you get that particular sentence, you change it slightly, and then you say, okay, this is from what kind of resource, what kind of reference. So that's actually not plagiarism anymore. Okay, so that kind. Okay, just to add on that. Right. So, okay, we have actually a lot of questions here, right?
Thank you so much for all the plagiarism talk and also all the love advice. I'm sure many of us really needed it. So we are running out of time, so this will be the last question. But before that, there are some directed questions to certain speakers. So if you want to answer, you can type out your answer in the Q&A box. But now we'll be moving on to the final question, which is directed to any of the speakers. Question is, how did you manage your life financially, especially when studying overseas? Did you find a part-time job, or was the pocket money provided by sponsors enough?
JPA didn't allow me to work, actually. I don't know whether you guys work, but JPA didn't allow me to work. So at the end,
Yeah, I think that's very specific. You can't find a job there. I mean, if you're
Yeah.
under Mora or GPA. And I think even when I was on the Rhodes Scholarship, I think we were not allowed to take up any jobs. You can volunteer at the library or whatever, if you want to do that, but you're not supposed to directly be in an employment. And I think that rule still applies to many scholarships now, actually. So yeah.
And maybe I can just add, okay, manage your life financially, let's say in overseas. So for example, I was a JPA, not scholar, but it's under loan. Okay, Miss Adlin is a JPA scholar, fully sponsored scholar. And it seems like, okay, Auntie Sue as well, also a full scholar. So we actually spend, I spend based on what you are, what you call it? You so you mengikut kemampuan. So that was what I wanted trying to just trying to say here. So for example, even among us, if you compare JPA scholar last time together with the Petronas scholar, Telecom scholar, so you can actually see in their rooms. So the expenses, okay, they are actually different. So I can see this hi-fi, or what you call it, the big kind of stereo in the telecom scholar room last time, but maybe in JPA scholar, okay, we just have a very very minimal things. Okay, so basically so it's based on your kemampuan, okay, like what we always try to say here. So don't spend too much, don't lavishly or something like that. So that's what actually I did. Okay, so and I survived. I still could go for traveling during summer to visited my friends in other university. So by just because last time JPA scholar we just got I think it's the lowest allowance among all other scholars. Okay, so but yeah, we managed to survive and we managed to went for travel and so on still. And I came back during summer as well to Malaysia, visited my back to my family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, Ansu will also add to that because it is very true what Auntie Faiza said. I mean, well, I have a university going son now as well. So I guess his time now and our time then was quite different, you know. But you need to be in this mindset that for some people, of course, they can afford to have extras from their parents or anything like that. But for most people, they don't. So whatever you get from your sponsor is all that you have. That's all that you have for your accommodation, your food. Accommodation alone will easily always, in most cases, will take half of the money away anyway already. And so the other half is for some books, is for eating, is for maybe potentially, going out with friends once in a while, going to movies and whatnot, and even traveling, to some places if you would like to also see other places. So go to uni with this mindset that there's that amount of money that I have, and I have to learn to make do with it. Honestly, it's really don't feel like, oh, I can try to find it somewhere else. You know what? So I'll take up a job or whatever. It's good to think that you can take up a job, but most likely being a student, you can't do that. So try to always look at how much you have, that you will have every month, and say, okay, this is what is going to happen with this money. Some may even need to be put away for some saving, that sort of stuff. So live within your means is really, really important. And you are there as a student. I was telling my son that it's actually kind of cool to be this kind of like a student living in so much hardship. It's almost like a romantic in that sense. So you build your characters by giving through some hardships, especially in uni. This is your time to start building your characters for your future life, and so face those hardships and try to solve hopefully most of your problems independently. So you learn from those things, whether those problems are financially, socially, and things like that. Try to tackle them on your own, and learn to live within what you can afford. That's what it is. Okay, I think that's kind of our answer. That's the last live question as well. Havina?
Yes, it is the last live question. So thank you so much. Since we're running out of time, the remaining unanswered questions will be asked to the speakers privately, and the answers will be posted on the Invix's Instagram.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have almost reached the end of the event. Now, I would like to present the e-certificates to our speakers. Firstly, Mr. Siti Suhaila binti Muhammad.
Oh, thank you. That's a very pretty certificate. Yeah, I will keep, or maybe hang it on the wall somewhere. put it in Takri's room. He likes his room very much. He never leaves the room.
Right. Okay,
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having Auntie Sue. It's such a pleasure to be here today and then to be doing this with Auntie Faiza and Auntie Adeline, and of course to be addressing your questions and sharing some of my life lessons with you. I hope they've been helpful in one way or another. But do continue to be in touch and ask any questions that you want. If not now, then later, or just stop me at school and ask me things that you want to ask, that sort of thing. Thank you so much again, everyone.
thank you, Auntie Suhaila. So next we have Miss Adeline Abdul Majid.
Thank you, Arvina. It's a pleasure to be here around today. And it's really good to be with Auntie Suhaila and Auntie Faiza as well. And if you guys, there are a few questions there that we haven't managed to answer. So feel free to email us and let us know. And if anyone is interested in becoming a lawyer when things have settled down, please feel free to come to KL, come to my office. I can show you around, see what it's like in a big law firm, meet some of our partners, and you can decide. Because I think there are some questions about how, what to do if you're not sure what to do with your life right now. And that's the only way. You have to look around and see and speak to people, and it will come to you. So thanks so much. And I'm always available. Send me a note or an email, and I'll respond to any questions that you have.
Thank you so much, Auntie Adeline. Last but certainly not least, Dr. Nur Faiza Abu Tahrim.
Okay, thank you very much, Invictus, for organizing this. Oh, where's the KYS logo? Okay, anyway, just kidding. So I saw that, there's a Invictus logo. But okay, anyway, thank you very much for organizing this. We had a very good session. And yeah, it's a small reunion actually to both of us also too. And okay, again, if you have any questions, you can just ask. Yeah, I had actually a few more questions to ask. You can also ask maybe not really much about chemistry alone, but in terms of other science subjects as well, in terms of the career, in terms of mainly academic in this education line. Okay, thank you very much, Invictus, as well as KYS.
Thank you so much, Auntie Faiza. To end this event, I would like to call upon the president of the History Club, Iman Amani, to give a closing speech. Amani, you're mute.
Sorry. Assalamualaikum and good morning, everyone. It has come to the end of the ceremony. I would like to once again thank the wonderful ladies who took time out of their day to impart knowledge. It truly means the world to all of us present here today. A big thank you to Mr. Rama, our teacher in charge, and the project manager, Azmir, for making sure this event was possible. To Harvina, the MC, for ensuring this event ran as smoothly as possible. The Art and Design Committee, Azrin and Putri Kisina, for all their help designing the posters and slides that you see before you today. And last but not least, Kisina Afika and Arisa Hani for moderating the questions and the YouTube live stream. Thank you so much, everyone, for your help and everyone who attended today.
Thank you so much, Iman Amani, for that amazing closing speech. Well, that marks the end of today's event. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. A huge thank you to our speakers for taking time out of their very busy days to be here. We hope to meet again soon. Thank you and goodbye. To the speakers, please stay back because